Mistakes are going to happen. The question you have to ask yourself is, what did the mistake teach me? What am I learning from this mistake? How can I grow? How can I do better? There's a gift in the mistake.
Howdy, y'all. I'm Elizabeth Gore. Welcome to The Big Idea from Yahoo Finance, the show that navigates the world of small business and entrepreneurship. As the co-founder of the small business funding platform, Hello Alice, it has always been my mission to help entrepreneurs have the tools they need to succeed. So let's cowboy up. Today's big idea question is, how do I turn my biggest mistakes into strategy? This week, I want to focus on what I call on our show, dirty unicorns, or the biggest mistakes you've made in business, which we all do, whether we like it or not. Joining me today to talk about this is Kim Perell. Kim is a 9-time founder, serial entrepreneur, angel investor, speaker, and best-selling author of the book, Mistakes That Made Me a Millionaire, How to Transform Setbacks into Extraordinary Successes. There's no one better than Kim to answer today's big idea question, how do I turn my biggest mistakes into strategy? Kim, thank you for coming on The Big Idea.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited. And I was talking to you earlier about, I'm so thankful that you're talking about mistakes.
I know. Everyone talks about the wins, right?
I know. And I think it's important to talk about our failures.
Yes.
I mean, what made you jump right into that topic specifically after you've started 9 companies?
I made a lot of mistakes after starting 9 companies. And I think for me, having founded so many companies and investing in so many entrepreneurs, usually we don't talk about anything until we get to the exit, right? So I exited for $235 million. Yes, but it's built on so many setbacks and failures and detours and dead ends. And I wanted to shine a light on the messy middle, the part in between that nobody talks about, because that's where the growth happens, the magic happens.
Absolutely.
And that's where the success is really made, right?
That's my hair today. It's the messy middle. It's like raining outside. No, I actually thrive in the messy middle.
Yeah.
It's funny because I always struggle when something's done.
Right.
So
What next?
I know. So I actually love that. And tell us about the new book.
Oh my gosh. So I honestly wanted to write about the mistakes that I've made. So each chapter, there's 10 chapters, 10 mistakes, and then 10 lessons. And it's really practical in terms of my advice of how to overcome these mistakes, which every individual will face. I guarantee it. And what I did in that situation to flip the script and actually turn that into millions of dollars.
Absolutely. So our big idea question of the day is, how do I overcome my biggest mistake? I mean, how would you dive right into your advice on that?
Oh my gosh. Well, if you think about how to overcome your biggest mistake, is knowing that, for me, learning really early on that failure does not make me a failure. And so many times something tragic happened. So I got fired from my first job, the company went bankrupt, and I felt like a failure. And we use some of these challenges and we define ourselves by them. And I think that is a huge mistake.
Right.
Because
it's a mistake of your mistake.
It's a mistake of your mistake.
Suddenly you're double Xing.
Yeah. So, and I think if we could only see that in that moment, which is very hard, and I know because it's, when something devastating happens or something that you put so much effort in doesn't work out, then you feel, you take it personally. But in order to be truly successful, you have to be able to bounce back.
One of, at Hello Alice, we love thematics of Alice in Wonderland. And one of the famous quotes in there is, I made 10 mistakes before breakfast, or I had 10 crazy ideas before breakfast. I mean, do you think of mistakes in a daily pattern, or do you think them over the arc of your life?
I make mistakes. I have 4 kids. I make mistakes
all
the
yes.
time.
Yes.
I literally brought...
We could do a whole parenting mistakes book, right?
Oh, I have so many. But I think even for me, and I dedicate the book to my children, so 4 children, is I want them to make mistakes. I want them to take risks. I don't... it's hard, especially in today's society and at school. You're taught that 100% to be perfect.
Right.
It's impossible to be perfect. And if you're striving for perfection, you actually will never be happy because it's unattainable.
Can you monetize mistakes?
Yes, that's,
So
my whole book is how do we make
money
from
the
mistakes? Well, I think a lot of it is being okay that you're making mistakes, but then what do you do next? Mistakes are going to happen. The question you have to ask yourself is, what did the mistake teach me? What am I learning from this mistake? How can I grow? How can I do better? There's a gift in the mistake, as hard as it seems to think that, but there truly is. And if you're able to recognize that opportunity within the mistake, then that will truly be a game changer in your business, in your life, in what you want to create.
Knowing we're going to make this many mistakes, and obviously extraordinary companies have come out of mistakes. Extraordinary. Penicillin was a big mistake. Polio drip was a big mistake. I mean, really important things in our lives were, quote, experiments or accidents or mistakes. Is there a framework that you would suggest to a small business owner, knowing I'm going to make mistakes, that like ahead of time, okay, I just made this mistake. My framework to tackle this is what?
Well, the challenge, I think, for a lot of entrepreneurs, including myself when I first started, was waiting to be 100% ready. 100% ready with my pitch deck, with my marketing plan, with my product, with my website. And so many of us overanalyze and overthink things. And I am guilty of this because I do it too. But as you're growing your own company, you have to be able to move and be able to find the balance between analysis and action. And I heard this rule really early on that I loved, and it's the framework that I live by. Marine Corps uses it in battle, which is the 70% rule. If you have 70% of the information in order to make an informed decision, take action. And as a young entrepreneur, listen,
let's go.
Yes, that rule became my mantra, and I still use it today.
My old boss at the UN used to say, "Shut up and ship it."
Let's go, right?
Let's go.
Yes.
And then you made me just think of Reid Hoffman, who said, "If you're not embarrassed by your first product, it wasn't fast enough."
Right.
I love that. So the whole idea of an MVP for a small business owner, your minimum viable product is literally minimum viable.
Yes,
right?
get to market, because the market's going to dictate.
Important to get out quick?
Because whatever you think, I've invested over 100 companies. One has stayed the same. 99% have pivoted. And think of the most successful companies we know. YouTube started as a dating site.
Right.
Twitter started as a podcast platform.
Right.
Netflix was shipping those DVD by mail, right? And so until you get to market, you actually don't know if you have product market fit. So you're perfecting in your own mind, but the reality is when it crashes with the reality. And that's when you can get the feedback to make changes to make it better. So get to 70% and go.
All right, Kim, so we all make mistakes and we have big teams. How do you talk with your team or maybe your board of directors about a mistake you've made? That's tough.
It's tough. And I think at the end of the day, you're the leader and you have to lead by example. So you need to showcase the vulnerability of making a mistake and owning up to it. And I think people see that and then they trust you more because you're being authentic.
That's a level. Yeah. I would respect the heck out of that, right?
As an investor too, I invest a lot of companies.
Right.
I want people to be honest with me. Like, it's very basic. And if you're honest with me, I will be honest with you. So it's really important to make sure that you're setting that bar because you're the leader.
Then they can help you too, right?
Yes. You can't do it alone. You need help. Oh my goodness. Yes. And it's more of a collaborative discussion on how do we help solve this together. Not trying to do it by yourself.
Every show we do, we ask, the dirty unicorn, what's your biggest mistake? Do you have, you've written a book about it. You have 10. First of all, I got to ask, how did you pick the 10?
Oh, it was so hard because I've made so many. I made hundreds of mistakes, but I tried to think of all the companies that I founded and that I mentor. What are the challenges that they've had as well?
Okay.
And trying to come up with themes that I knew, if you read this, and I made mistakes that cost me $5. I made mistakes that cost me $5 million.
Right.
Partnering with wrong people. I quit too soon. All these mistakes that everyone can relate to, whoever you are. Stayed too long. How many people have stayed too long?
Absolutely. That's a big one.
Relationship. And so there's universal mistakes that I think apply to everyone in business and life. And so I tried to really think about.
Can you pull up one?
Oh my God. Well, I've got so many. So I think for me, I think trying to do everything alone as an entrepreneur and I was so afraid.
Do you do that as a mom
Oh
too?
my God. No, I've learned.
Good.
Again,
Good
I
for
learned
you,
from my
'cause
mistake.
that took me a while.
Yes. Oh, yes, because you can't.
I have
Poor
tween and
kids.
teens now, and
Oh.
it took me a minute. Now I'm like, what? I
Enlist
need
help,
so much help.
right?
Right.
Yes. And I think trying, because you want to prove that you can do it and that you don't need help, or you see help as weakness, or whatever you're telling yourself. But the reality is, once I started asking for help, my whole world changed, and I got a mentor, and I hired a team, and I found peers. And to your point, in a personal life, like my husband and my support system, you can't do it alone.
No, and now I have elder care with my
Right.
mom. It's the same thing. It's
Right.
like what we need help, and I think translating that to business is so critical. I mean,
Yes.
by the way, I thought you'd appreciate the founder of Waze. Yuri was on, and I asked him, "What's your dirty unicorn? The biggest mistake you've ever made?" And he sat there and he goes, "I don't think I've made it yet." Isn't
love
that interesting?
Like, I make it every day.
I know. He really he loves the idea of problems, and he's like, I think I haven't made it yet.
Wow.
I make so many every day, but I think the biggest one is
It's
yet
coming.
to come.
It's coming.
Isn't that a wild way to? I mean, that's kind of a weird optimism, though, of like backing into the fact that you just know it's coming.
And also being okay with that a mistake is going to come.
Right. Right.
And so actually I like that. Maybe I haven't made my biggest mistake.
Yeah, it took me a minute. I was
Right?
like, and then I was like, oh, Lord Jesus, I have a big one coming. I've had so many whoppers, right?
Well, maybe I'll have another book.
I
My
know.
biggest mistake.
My number one by Kim. No, Miss Kim, hold that thought. We'll be right back on The Big Idea. Howdy, y'all. Welcome back. I'm Elizabeth Gore here with Kim Perell on The Big Idea. So I want to go back to the small business owner. And I want to talk first mental health, and then I want to talk practicality. So, being a business owner is so isolating, especially for
Right.
small business owners. And when they do make that mistake, what is the self-care, the way you think about yourself in that moment? Then we'll talk about the business.
I mean, again, if you're making mistakes, you feel it, especially as a small business owner, because the buck stops with you, right? You are the decision maker. So the mistakes likely are ones that you've made. So you have to take personal responsibility that it's your mistake and decide, what do you do next? Do you learn from it? How do you react? I mean, how you react is actually going to make the biggest difference in how that mistake plays out. And seeing it as, similar to what you're saying, is that seeing it that it's inevitable.
Right.
Like, mistakes are inevitable on the path to success. So embrace it, learn from it, grow from it, and move on.
Move on.
Yes.
I think that's a really important point for a second, is not to learn, but then just keep going. Or you don't ruminate, you don't sit in it. Is that a fair
Yes,
statement?
that is. Yes,
Okay.
because you can overthink things. 10 years later, you're sitting in the shower thinking, oh, that mistake I made.
Right.
Right? Which
Right.
we do, and you could still have that thought, but move forward despite it. And I think that's that's really important, because if you sit there and ruminate, you're just going to drown in it.
Kim, some mistakes you shouldn't come back from. I'm curious about when to push through and when to cut your losses.
I talk about in the book the mistake of quitting too soon and how to know when to quit and how not to. And I think for me, it comes down to three things. If it is physically hurting you, mentally hurting you, or financially hurting it, like really hurting you, you need to cut your losses.
I love those three. So physically, mentally, financially. Yeah. Wow, that needs to be a framework for everything in your life.
Yeah, exactly.
And then from just a structure standpoint, I've made a mistake in my business. What are your tips to analyze it from a business standpoint?
Yeah, I think it's really important to understand, why did you make the mistake?
Okay.
Right? So the why, because you made it because you either had bad data, flawed decision, poor feedback, not enough feedback. I mean, there's so many reasons that you would make a mistake, but understanding why you made it so you don't make it again. The book tells you 10 mistakes. The reality is we're going to make them anyway.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's hard not to. I mean, I talk a lot about partnering with the wrong people. And in business, small business, you partner with a lot of people or you hire the wrong person. Oh, is so hard. So I give tips specifically on interview questions that you can ask to make sure it's
Ooh.
the right person. Because how many times have you hired someone that looked perfect on paper? I call that the POP.
Perfect on
They
paper.
look beautiful. It's probably like dating. It looks
Oh
so
Lord,
good.
I'm so glad I'm not dating.
Me too,
I
but
can't
it's
imagine
true.
the acting on
You
that.
look
But yeah.
amazing,
Yeah.
and then you get, in real life,
I'm feeling that.
and then
I like that. I like that.
You get in real life,
Yeah.
and oh my goodness, it's so bad.
I was telling some business owners yesterday, I said, all of you, if you're in business at least 5 years, you will fire someone. That is 100% going to happen, because a few of them were so upset. I picked the wrong person. I was like, you are not Jesus. You
Right.
cannot,
Yes,
you
I made
cannot
mistakes.
know the like heart of a human and POP.
Yes.
Right?
But I think knowing from those mistakes of picking the wrong people, what I failed at and what I should have done better was I didn't want to own up that I had made that mistake. So I let the person stay too long, and that was a mistake. You should just recognize, have the courage to admit your mistakes. It shows vulnerability to your team and that you have enough EQ that you know it's a mistake. Everyone else knows you hired the wrong person anyway.
Yeah. And I like that you brought up teams. So let's flip to a manager and your team members making mistakes or one mistake. How do you guide them through that process?
I think number one, we want people to make mistakes once. Again, if they're doing it twice, that's a different
Second
story.
kick of a mule. Come on.
Exactly. But I think I want to encourage people to act not on the day-to-day mistakes, but actually take risks and to look at going outside the box. Like, what are the thoughts? Because that's innovative and that's creative. And I think we want people to make mistakes. Obviously, mistakes that are just simple shouldn't be happening. But
Right.
I do think it's important to embrace it, to use it as a teaching lesson, and to not make it again. Again, if it happens twice, that's a problem.
We got to talk.
Yeah, we got to talk.
Right. Absolutely.
But once, I learned from it. What did you learn?
Right. Now, is there, this is getting maybe a little deep, but are there mistakes though that we shouldn't bring people back from? Character, lying. I mean, is there a difference between like a character choice and a mistake?
Yes, unethical,
Right.
or yes, I would say integrity is a core value. If you don't have integrity, you should remove the employee.
Right.
Obviously,
Right.
or
right.
any relationship.
Right.
Because how can you build trust? And I think that's really important in any team. Trust is really important as a foundation.
Absolutely.
So if they break your trust, then you should remove them from your
And
organization.
that goes back to, I think you mentioned earlier, I certainly have mistakes I've made is letting someone stay too long, because there is a difference in character. Another guest, TD Jakes, said he used to mistake charisma for character.
Right.
And that's a mistake I've made, is giving people second chances when it's character, not just a actual iterative mistake.
Yes.
Right. It's
Yes.
definitely something that I'm trying to get better at.
And I think we know when someone is not right for the role, and they know too. Too often we think they don't know. They know.
Yeah.
And so the sooner you can both address it, the sooner each person can go on their way and make something better. But I think pretending that it's working, everybody knows it's not working. And not just you and them, but everyone around you.
The whole team.
The whole team.
Yeah,
And so
I
now
love,
you're dragging everyone down.
Brene Brown's quote of "clear is kind."
Right.
Just be clear. This is not working.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Is there a mistake you look back and it makes you laugh? You're like, that's hysterical that happened.
Well, I don't even know if it's hysterical. For me, I sold my first company in 2008 and made millions of dollars, making a lot of mistakes. And I was actually asked to be on this board.
Okay.
And I turned the position down because I felt underqualified, because it was a lot of MBAs and VCs, and what a huge mistake that was.
Yeah,
because
you're
I had
brilliant.
qualifications at that, and it wasn't like I deserved to be in that room.
Right.
And I, which was a huge mistake, believed I was underqualified. And looking back, I had turned down a lot of opportunities over the years because of that belief system. And I think that was a huge mistake. So flipping that script of the internal dialogue that you have in your head about your skill set, your qualifications, and turning that self-doubt into self-belief. And I talk a lot about that and how I did that myself in terms of getting over some of those feelings of feeling underqualified, and they come from being really young.
I'm grateful you said that, because I think so many of our mistakes are actually decisions we make in our own head that no one ever hears about.
Right.
And that could be literally every day.
Yes.
And I appreciate you saying that, because I always like to encourage our business owners to stretch. They're generally so compassionate and, risk averse, which is good in some states, but stretch, go for it, jump. Let's do it. Right.
Yes. I always say dream big. And you have to dream bigger than you ever thought possible, because when looking back on 20 years, I should have dreamed a lot bigger than I did. But it's hard, because if you can't see it, you can't be it. And so really trying to find those role models in your life that you could say, they are encouraging you to live up to your greatest potential.
Absolutely. So let's go back to our Big A question and give me 3 points of advice to come back from a big mistake.
Okay. Well, if coming back from a big mistake, 1, reminding yourself that failure does not make you a failure.
Okay.
I think that's a mindset shift. 2,
I failed, but I'm not a failure.
That's
I'm
right.
gonna get you a T-shirt that says
failed,
that.
but I'm not a failure.
Okay.
2 is making sure you're surrounding yourself with people that are supporting you. It really is like who you surround yourself is who you will become.
Like your personal board of advisors.
Yes, your personal board of
that.
advisors. And the 3 is, I think, reminding yourself that mistakes are the path to success, not the opposite of it.
Ooh, okay. The yellow brick road is full of mistakes.
Yes, it is full. Yes, exactly.
I love that. That is incredibly helpful. Well, I love you being on the show. We talk about dirty unicorns all the time. My son's dirty unicorn is right behind you. And I thank you for telling us all what we need to value, not just run away from. So you're the best. Thanks for being on the show.
So much.
Yeah.
Yes, love it.
At the end of each episode, I like to give a shout out to a small business who is doing amazing work. Today, I'd like to shout out one of Kim's favorites, Books and Books. Founded by Mitchell Kaplan in 1982 out of Coral Gables, Florida, Books and Books is a locally owned and independently minded bookshop. Check them out in person at one of their 5 locations in Southern Florida or at booksandbooks.com. Thank you to Kim for coming on our show, and thanks all of you for joining us. We hope you've learned a lot. This has been The Big Idea from Yahoo Finance. Please make sure to scan the QR code below, follow Yahoo Finance Podcast, or check us out anywhere you get your podcasts. You can also come say howdy to me to any of my social channels at Elizabeth Gore USA. I'm Elizabeth Gore, and as my grandmother always said, hold your head up high and give them hell. See you next time.
This content was not intended to be financial advice and should not be used as a substitute for professional financial services.